Hi guys, and welcome to the Google Glam Hangout. This is day 5. I am your host, Tameika McPhaul, and this has been an amazing week. We had so many amazing women come on tonight. I'm just so grateful for each and every woman who came on tonight. Everyone shared different aspects of your business, your lifestyle, your fashion, your finances. And today I'm going to lead us out with cleaning up the clutter of our mindset. So in order for us to do all the things that, the ladies shared with us this week, we all have to, get to a point where we have to clean up our mindset to shift to go to the next level. And for me, I'll just share a little bit about myself. My name is Tameika McPhaul, and actually I started this brand in the season of, how I say, it was a setback, but it was also a setup. For me, I got fired from my job, and it actually saved my life. And sometimes we look at it like, oh, it changed my life. Oh, woe was me. Of course, it was a woe was me at that time because it was definitely devastating. I went through a season of anger. I went through a season of resentment, anxiety. It was just so many things, that I went through, but yet my mindset was I had to reprogram it. And for me, I went through a dark depression because of that. And during that season, I kind of set myself apart from my friends, my family, because I lost myself in building other people. And in that aspect of building other people, I was just in a place of, wanting to fit in, wanting to, be in a place of acceptance, but not knowing that I was losing myself in the process. So with doing that, I set myself apart. No one knew what I was going through. I did it very well. How, the glam thing was my thing, but I hid behind it. So now, my life is a little different of how I look at the word glam. For me, I hid behind the lipstick, I hid behind the makeup, I hid behind the clothes. And for me, being in the beauty industry, it's easy to do that because that's what, we do. We teach, not teach, we are portraying beauty. This is what we do for women, which is make them look good on the outside. But for me, I was living that life, but yet, like I said, dying inside. And so once I got fired from being in this lifestyle of, the glam and the glitz and the spending your money before you even got the money, all of those things, because it's just like that lifestyle, you kind of had to live up to that lifestyle a little bit. So it's just like getting fired from it is just like, okay, now what do I do? How do I keep up this appearance? How do I keep up this look? I can't go to Neiman Marcus anymore because it's just like my finances don't allow me to do that. And so then that's another thing where the anxiety or the anger came in, if it wasn't for this scenario, I would be able to still do that. And not only that, I still had, children. I had a household. Long story short, I had a husband that kind of like, helped, kind of, what I mean, that support, that, you usually get from, a significant other, but it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't okay because I didn't have my own, so going through that depression part of, not having that, being this mom, I just felt like that S on my chest was just dwindling away. Like, how do I still, provide for my family? It's just like, and that in itself just took me to another, place in my life. Like, how do I, I start feeling less than of a woman as a mom, what I mean? Having to depend on my husband solely, to support me. And it's just like, I'm like, what is going on, God? Like, I'm going into these interviews. I'm doing what it is that I need to do to try to keep, my family afloat. But it's just like, it wasn't going that way, So it was a time when I was just like, okay, God, what's going on? Like, my energy is low. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, everything that I had a passion for, I don't have a passion for anymore. And it's just like, I originally I went to the doctor and I said to the doctor, you know, hey, I'm feeling really low. My energy is low. I need some vitamins. I'm going to him telling him what I need, you know. So he's telling me, Miss McPhaul, he was just like, you know, he's just like, wait a minute. He's listening to everything I'm saying. He said, you're suffering from depression. I'm like, who, me? Not me. I know God. He wouldn't do that to me, you know. So he was just like, well, I want you to start taking this medication. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. You know, I took it. And I sat in the car when I left and I just let it marinate. Like, is this man just tell me I'm what? You know, I was still in denial. You know, I just knew that, you know, life had shifted for me, but like that word, depression, was just like, what is that? You know, so I go home and of course the internet is such a dangerous thing. So for me, I'm Googling depression. I'm on a computer, like, what does this mean? It's just like, I'm reading all this stuff, and it's just like, oh, wow, I am feeling like that. I am doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. And then before you knew it, my mindset was just filled with everything that that computer told me, which was, you're this, you're that. And I consumed all those things. And before you knew it, it was just like, I'm full blown depressed. You know what I mean? Like, I just start owning it. Like, I'm depressed. And, you know, my husband's just like, you know, he's the only one who knew. Nobody knew. My family didn't know. And, you know, things were still kind of like a little blah to me with that. So he said, why don't you just take the medication? I'm like, no, I don't want to take the medication. I'll be okay. And it was one particular day, because at this point, my car was repossessed. I didn't have a car anymore. And it's just like all the things that we down to this one car. And it's just like, I'm taking him to work this particular morning, and he says to me, are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. He was just like, you don't want to hurt yourself or anything. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. So literally, like, I come home, I lay down, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, because he has to shift like really early in the morning. And I come home and I lay down a little bit, and I just hear this voice. Like, this voice just screamed out in my head, just kill yourself. And I'm like, it scared me half to death. Like, you know, and I'm like, what is going on? Like what? You know what I mean? I'm just like, I know, you know, I'm feeling a little sad. Like, why am I hearing these voices? Like, why am I hearing this? Like, what is this? And it just took me to a really confused state. And I'm like, no way. Like, and I jump up, and I hear this other voice, and it just says to me, he said, just call everybody and tell them you love them. And it's just like, I'm over it. I don't want to do life anymore. Like, I'm tired of doing life. And it's just like, guys, like, I just couldn't, like, in that moment, I was just like, what has triggered? Like, what has taken over my mindset, my body, just the way I was feeling? Like, all of these things really took a shift within a few months. Like, life really had happened to me within a few months. And literally, I did. I called everybody in my family. I was just like, okay. I'm like, Mom, I love you. I called my brother. I told him I love him. I'm telling everybody I love him. And of course, nobody knew what was going on, because the only person who knew was my husband. He was the only person who knew, you know, exactly what was going on with me. So for me, I'm still in this confused state in my mindset, and at this point, I'm just like, okay, why don't you just take the medication? Remember, I never wanted to take the medication, so now I want to take the medication. And I literally, guys, at this point, I remember taking the medication. I had a glass of water, and I had my Bible all just spread out in front of me. And I just said, God, I don't know what to do. Like, I know this is not your will for me. Literally, it was just like the confused state. Like, so what I did, I took a handful of them. I literally took a handful of this medication, literally, and it wasn't even 5 minutes though. Like, you know, the ambulance was at my house, the police was at my house, like all of these different people, because I called everybody, and at that point I had called my mama. So it's just like, you know, it's almost like God, it was like a setup. it was just like when I heard that voice to say, call everybody, it was almost like a setup to say, okay, now I'm going to send everybody to you because you need some help. So literally, like it was within 5 minutes. Like I said, my brother was the first person to arrive here at the house, and I remember everybody knocking on the door, and I'm just like, go away, go away. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to, I don't want to talk to anybody. And of course, I let him in. And at this time, the ambulance was there, the cops was there. And guys, when I say I still was like out of it, like my mindset was still in a state that I never knew anyone could like experience this. Like I didn't understand what was going on. So now before you know it, I'm in the hospital. I'm in the hospital bed. I get to the hospital and literally like threw up everything that I had taken. And it was just like another setup. You know what I mean? It was just like at that moment like God had released everything that I had consumed inside of me. And that wasn't it. That wasn't it. That wasn't the final straw of, this whole process. So now, I found myself in a mental hospital, a place where I never thought I would be in my life. When I say mind shift, like, whew, my mind was just like, how did you get in here, Tameika? Like, literally, like, getting fired really got you here? Like, it got you in a place right here? I'm in a place where people are walking around, nothing locks, no, like, everything is bolted, the windows are bolted. I'm looking around in this place like, how did you get here? And I remember the doctor came in the room and she said to me, she said, Miss McPhaul, she was just like, she was just asking me a few questions and things like that. She said, I'm going to talk to your husband, I'm going to talk to your mom, and I was just like, well, when can I go home? Like, that's my thing. When can I go home? Like, why? She said, well, we had to keep you here and evaluate you. And I was just like, for what? I just lost my job. Like, that was my mindset. I just lost my job. Like, I'm okay. I just want to go back home. She said, well, no, we have to keep you here. And I'm like, okay. So she leaves. She leaves out of this room. And I remember I was sitting in the chair, sat in the chair, and I had my gown on, and I said, okay, Tameika. I started talking to myself. If you don't get it together, by the time this lady come back in here, you're going to be staying in here. So when she come back in here, you better talk like you got some sense, because obviously they don't think you have some sense because of what you tried to do. And at that moment, literally, guys, like at that moment is when I said, I have to shift my mindset. Like, she comes back in and she says, okay, between your mother and your husband, they decided to, collectively help you with outpatient treatment. So I said, oh, thank God for these two, because if these two wasn't here, this is where I'm going to stay. This is going to be my little residence for like 2 more days. So it's funny. I could laugh about it now, guys, but I remember when she came back in and I said, okay, I will agree to that. And I can honestly say from that day forward is when I decided, I just said, it's time for a shift. It's time for a shift in my mindset. It's time to shift my vocabulary. And it's just like all the things that I said I wanted to do, or said I didn't want in my life, I had to shift it. I just remember, just like, oh, woe was me. I'm just like, no. I had to in my life to be. Not what was going on. I had to shift it from that moment forward. And through therapy and through my spiritual family, I was able to do that. I was able to shift, my vocabulary and, get the word of God a little more deeper inside of me. So I remember too in that season where I kind of go back where, all that was going on in my mind, He gave me a vision. And He gave me this vision that I will be standing in front of women sharing this. And I was just like, what, God? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I remember literally before everybody came to the house, he showed me this glimpse. I'm like, God, I'm a mess. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I'm gonna be telling somebody this story? But I do remember this. I remember in the moment of when all of that turmoil was going on in my head, I remember crying out to him. I said, God, I promise you. I said, if you help me through this, I will share this story. And when he gave me that visual, I was just like, I still was in a state of just like, God, I'm a mess. Like, how can I share this with somebody else and I ain't got it all together? And long story short, it's just like, this August 2nd will be 5 years. People say, I've been 5 years clean. I've been 5 years of having a new mindset, a new attitude, a shift in my life and how I want to design it and how I want it to be. And through that, that's when I started journaling, and that's when I just started writing down my affirmations and writing down how, I wanted to see life. And that's where Confessions of a GLAM FAB Woman came in. So with that, it's just like I took all of my affirmations and I put them in this book. So not only, for me sharing this journey, it's just like God gave me this idea to, leave something with women. I can share my story all day long, but, once you leave me, I have given you some tools or some things that I can, you know, you can remember me by, or something that you need. You can write in it, you can add your own, but it was just a jumpstart for me to help other women make that shift, jumpstart their own desire or whatever you may be going through. You know what I mean? Whether it's kind of like what Joyce talked about on Monday, you want to shift your mindset, you want to lose that weight, or you want to change the way you're eating, but you don't. Sometimes it is a little trigger that's going on inside of our mindset that's stopping us from doing that. Or like you want to start that business, and almost like Natasha shared with us, she said we're sabotaging our own selves. We're thinking we're not enough. We don't have enough. It's like every woman this week shared something with us with getting financially fit. Because that sometimes our mindset just from our past, watching our parents or what we saw, in front of us just gave us this like, oh, you know what I mean, not having that understanding. So, a lot of things that, we do in life it has how I say it starts with a mindset. Either we want to go forward and do it, or it's something that's blockage. There's a blockage. I always share this is like a lot of times in life. Some things that we've gone through in our childhood, they reappear in our adulthood. And sometimes we just like, what? Now, what do you mean by that? It could be something that affected us. We could have been 5 years old, and whereas though I'm 40, I'm still, at some point, some little things trigger me to take me back to a 5-year-old. So it's just like sometimes we have to identify what our triggers are. Like, what is that thing that, gets us? Like, for me, when I was going through the depression, my trigger, what I've learned was finances, was my money. It's just like, having my children in private school and things like that. So it's just like, as soon as September came, it was just like, oh no, like that anxiety would come. So it's just like going through the therapy, learning my triggers and knowing how to manage them, basically just manage how, I look at situations, how, okay, no, we're not going to go there. You know what I mean? We're not going to do this, or whatever may happen. Okay, you could be in a moment for a minute, but don't stay stuck there. Whereas though I stayed stuck, so it's just like I can identify it. I have my moment, and you're allowed to have a moment. Have that moment, but don't stay stuck there. So those are just some of the things I could just say, like, just identifying your triggers, to know what may set you off, what may, take you to a place where it's not a happy place. You know what I mean? Like I said, we all have some of those moments, but, just don't stay stuck there. This week, I can honestly say, guys, has been amazing. For me, even doing what I've done this week, I stepped out of my own comfort zone. I got out of my own way. God has definitely been doing some things inside of me, talking to me to shift some things, to move forward in life. I definitely was presented with a situation where God has been calling me to move. And I was just like, okay, God, you telling me to move again? Like, why are you telling me to move again? Like, what's going on? And I can honestly say I identified what he was saying to me, and I took heed to the word of what he said. And it's just like, what? What do you mean you quit your job? Who does that? And that's what I was saying. God, who does that? Like, you really telling me to quit my job? No, not say not again, but you're telling me to quit my job after what I went through 5 years ago, and you leaving me out here alone by myself again? But I had the tools this time, so it's just like I identify like, okay, I'm a little more closer, to the word. I'm a little more closer to, well, no, I am closer to having better understanding of what he's calling me to do. So I just say sometimes we have to just heed to the word of what God is telling us to do as well, and take in the moment sometimes. It's just like what I've learned through the whole season of that 5 years, that God was showing me my purpose. I think I fought it for a really long time. I think that's where the anxiety came from, because I was fighting it. Like, what are you doing, God? Why are you doing this to me? But all along, He was showing me my purpose. And I always share there's a purpose in a pause. Sometimes we don't understand that pause. Like, God, why did you snatch that man away? Or why did you take that job away? But it's just like, God was saying to me, I'm trying to get something to you. I literally remember driving to work one day before I got fired, and I'm murmuring, I'm complaining, I'm like, God, why? I'm over this job. And it's so funny. I was literally complaining about it, but when I got fired, now I want to be mad. But he says to me, he's like, shut up. Literally, I'm in the car, guys. And I'm like, I'm looking around in the car like, me, you're the only one in this car. And he said, shut up. He said, I'm trying to get something to you. And I'm like, wow. And, over the years, I just think back to that moment. For the time is now, like a couple weeks ago, when he was shifting me and telling me to move again. And he was just like, I was setting you up. I was showing you. I was trying to get something to you. And the whole process of me, he's telling me to move again. I'm like, okay, God, what shall you have me to do? What do you want me to do this time? And he says to me, I've given you the tools. And I'm like, what tools? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is my conversation. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, I've given you the tools. But he didn't literally reveal the tools into me until I said yes. Until I said yes to leaving. Literally just saying, okay, I surrender, I give up. I remember when I made the call and I said, you know what, it's time for me to move on. I've been here X amount of time. It's time for me to do what it is that God's called me to do. I hung up that phone and I just said, okay, God, I did what you said. Now I need you to show up. It's just like, I'm not trying to be funny, but this is how I talk to him. It's just like getting a little more like real. Like, what do you want me to do now? And literally within the past month, it's been a month, and I had this idea right here. What we've done this week, these 5 days with these 4 amazing women that say yes to me. They say yes to the call. God gave me this vision in the shower, and I said, okay, God, I was still working at the moment, and I was still trying to put some pieces together, or how I was going to put this together. And literally a year ago, my mentor gave me this idea, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. It's just something else that I put in my journal as I write down everything. But a whole year later, God put, because I had a whole new crew of people. I had not even these ladies. These ladies that you see right here, these were not the 4 people that God put in my visual to make this happen. And when he gave me this a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, wow, I met Joyce. I met Natasha. I met Tam. And it's just like, Krystal was like right in the place of where I work. Like, literally, she'd come to the salon and get her hair done. Like, and we never had that communication or that talk. But set time and a setup. And literally, I didn't put all of these things in the motion until I said yes, until I quit. Literally, when I quit is when the email went out to every last one of these ladies. And this week has been just overwhelming. And just hearing their response from them is just made me so humbly blessed. I can honestly say, ladies, I've been humbly blessed by what you've done. What you've done
Tameika, don't start crying.
for me.
All right.
What you've done by saying yes to this idea that God gave me and having this hangout with me, having this great time. And it's just because I just said yes to the call and you guys said yes to me. So God, I wanna bring on my team. I just want to introduce to you again. I know I introduced them to you each night this week. But first, I want to bring on JoyceNichole Robinson. I met JoyceNichole Robinson at an event that I did. She was actually in my makeup class. And when she walked in the room, guys, I was like, she's fabulous. Like, I was like, I love her whole look. I looked her up and down. I was just like, loving her. And when she came in, her presence just spoke to me. And the rest is history, you know?
This is true.
It really is. So, like, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And then we have night 2, Miss Tamela, Miss Tamela Tatum. I met Tamela through my Instagram. She's fabulous. Oh my God. I seen this lady and I seen her fashion and I'm just like, I'm looking at her pictures. I'm like, I want to come steal these clothes out of your closet. And long story short, like everything, we had so many things in common. And like I said, it was a setup. It was another setup.
It was a good
We
setup.
have Natasha. Natasha. Oh my gosh. She was just like,
Krystal's back.
Okay, it's still black. Let's see.
Okay.
Hold on.
So Krystal, Tam, me, we're on.
We are.
Okay.
Okay, now I can see. I can see Tam.
I
Okay.
have stepped away for 1 second. I think the only person we're missing is Tameika.
All right.
I can see you now.
Yes.
The
Okay.
devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. He tried to stop this whole hangout. It's okay though.
You can stop. It's not happening.
He didn't stop it. He didn't stop it.
No, he
Guys,
didn't.
thank you for joining back again with me. And I know I left off talking about Krystal. And I met Krystal literally in the salon where I was working. And Krystal hadn't been in a while because, Krystal had been busy with school. So when she showed up at the salon and she's like, Tameika, she talks so fast. I always say, she talks so fast. She said, you wrote a book? I was like, yeah. And she was just like, I didn't know you wrote a book. And I was just like, yeah. So she said, let me check it out. So she gets the book and she was just like, I'm going to get a copy. She's like, I'm going to get my sister a copy. And our conversation just shifted from there. We just started talking about life and just things like that. And literally, I met her the same day I met Joyce. Because I was actually leaving to go do the Glaminar. And like I said, Krystal and I had never had this typical conversation that we had. Like, we just had casual conversation in the salon. Like, we had a real deep, like, business, like, making some stuff happen conversation. I leave here and go meet Joyce. Like, I'm like,
I remember you saying that. I just didn't make. I'm now making the connection.
right.
Yes.
It was her. And I'm like, no way, God. Like, and literally between Krystal and Joyce that day, I was just like, the idea was still pondering in my head. Like, okay, I'm building my team inside of my head. And it's just like, when it all came together, it's just like, I'm just humble and just grateful that all of you guys just have entered into my life with just different purpose, different times, but all coming together doing the same thing. So I just love y'all. I just thank y'all. And this is not the end of us at all. So, like, okay, I just want to go back to you, Joyce. So give me some feedback on how you felt this week was. Like, what did you get out of this hangout? Like, just recap some things of, how this experience has gone with you.
Well, I'm always the person that's up. I will try anything once. I'm always the person that is up first for stuff. So when we had all of our difficulties, you and I having decided that we were just going to record it and then replay it, not really realizing that anybody was actually watching it, I thought was hilarious. Because it wasn't until one of my friends texted me and she's like, "Good job," and I'm just like, and I literally was like, "What you talking about?" And she was like, I was like, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh.
Like, somebody really is watching.
And then before I could, because I had my phone like on the charger, and I looked over, and there's like all these alerts because my best friend stayed on through, because I had actually said, we're not going to do, we're going to record and replay it, we'll let you know when. But people still stayed on, and before I even knew that we were live, we were done. Tameika and I were still talking, and there's like all these shares. And my best friend, she's like, and then I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, wait, my hair, I wasn't, but I think it really goes, it speaks to my life. It's all that, and there's like, what Tameika says, there is purpose in the pause. It's kind of like, if everything was perfect and everything was ready, and I think I just saw I saw a meme. I was rushing through. I think I just saw something where it was just like, if everything's perfect and everything's on time and everything's just right, then something's not right. You're not working hard enough. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that this week definitely showed me that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. Because I've gotten a lot of inquiries and people like messaging me and all kinds of stuff saying, I want to know more. I had actually started a challenge within my group earlier this week on Monday. It's a journaling challenge, and I was giving guided topics because we had some people that said, I don't know what to write about. I want to write. I want to make sure I do it. I'm like, fine. I'll throw out some topics. And these surface type topics that I called myself going to be coming up with, totally not what is going on. It's some deep stuff going on, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. And people are, I was not prepared, and I'm a planner. I prepare everything. I even food prep, meal plan. But what I'm learning is that God's purpose will still carry you through, and you'll figure it out, and He got you, and you don't have to worry about the little things. Like, it's going to be okay. Even in the deepest times where I didn't know what in the world I was going to do.
Right.
Like Tameika said, once you say yes, and you're like, okay,
I gotta show up. I have to show up.
Yeah, because you don't really have it's going to be okay. It's not maybe what you envisioned life would be, but it's going to be.
This is why, like Natasha said this to me the other day when we were talking, and she said, what you have to do, she said, when the idea or something comes to you, she said, set the date. She said, because, we'll say, oh, I'll get around to do it. I want to do this live event, or I'll do this. But she said, you set the date, you create a flyer, you have to show up. You have to do it. You have to put in the work now, because, like, now you have people responding to what you put out in the atmosphere.
Yes.
That's true.
So that was very valuable what Natasha had said to me the other day. So, Tam, how about you?
Okay.
How can you recap this week and how it's been for you?
Well, first, like when we were speaking before we actually went on the air, we were all like just talking and sharing our stories a little bit more. First, you headed this. You started this, and it was your vision for us all to be together. So first, that is like phenomenal. When you have someone amazing as yourself heading it, like I told Joyce and Krystal, like-minded people tend to, be together. So for me, it was like great. I really got a lot out of you ladies, just listening to your stories and listening to your Google Hangouts, and it was really cool. I didn't realize, just listening to you talk just now, your story. Where are you going, Tameika?
I
dropped over the new Tameika.
Your story is funny because your story is so much like mine. Like, I already think it's so creepy a little bit that we're so much alike. It's funny too, though. But I think it's so weird that we have so much in common as far as like our style and things we like. But just listening to your story, it's the same story. I again work in a salon, but for 20 years I've been a medical assistant. I worked for one doctor for 15 years, and I was there until they let me go. I couldn't work more hours there, or for that being the reason I couldn't give them more hours, because I was dedicating more time to the salon, which is my passion, and dedicating more time to Fashion Savvy, which is my brand. So when I left there, it's just like at first I think I was only upset for like 5 minutes. I don't even think I was upset for that long, because I just felt like it was a bigger plan. God had a bigger plan for me. And I was just like you, going to work every day like, I could be doing this for my company, I could be doing this for myself, and I could be working. And I just felt like when it happened, everything happens for a reason. I think that it just was time, and it's almost like you need to be careful what you ask for. I asked for, and God delivered it. And ever since then, I think for me it's been almost 2 months, and I have not missed a beat. I met you guys. Like I said the other day, I told Gino and my sister and my family and friends, I would have never been able to do this that day. That day, I ran errands, I cleaned my house, I got prepared for the Google Hangout at 8 o'clock. It just flowed. And if I was still working a full-time job, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I am full-time at the salon, but I just feel like now I'm working for Fashion Savvy. I'm doing what I love, and it has been phenomenal. Talking to you guys, listening, this group is great. We were, like I told Krystal the other day, we were in that group chat. Really? Wait, look. We're in a group chat the other day, and we were talking about things for 2016. I'm like, set today, I'm ready, I agree. You put it out there, it'll make you and enforce you to do things. My life has changed so much for the better. When you started tearing up, I'm like, she better not. I am a crybaby. I'm a crybaby probably out of this group. I'm like, she better not, because I'm gonna be crying and I'm gonna have to put it on pause to go get some tissue.
I'm good. I'm all good. I'm all good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
But I just think it's great. I think what you're doing is great. I listen to you speak, and I just, it's phenomenal. You putting people together in this group, I just think it was great. I really, just listening to you guys, we're like texting now, we're playing with each other on Instagram, and I love it. I just think it was phenomenal, and I got a lot out of this. Like, I have notes all over the place, and I just think, I thank you for being you and going through what you did and what you went through to be able to help us and, come together as a group. So that's what I have to say. I think it was phenomenal.
Okay, Natasha, it's your turn. Hi, honey. Okay, what was your aha, or what could you share how you can recap this week with our hangout?
First, I want to thank you, Tameika, for your vision, because I have to agree with what Tamela said and what Joyce has said so far. It's funny how first timing works, and it's funny how when God orchestrates a group, he orchestrates women who have similar visions and similar goals and kind of have so much alike. And so for me, this week was confirmation that I am on the right path, and all of us here are on the right track. Because sometimes, like I said Wednesday, we do doubt ourselves. Even, the most confident of confident women doubts themselves. We may not say it openly in a group or to our family, but we doubt ourselves internally, and sometimes that can totally throw us off track. So this week for me was confirmation that we all are on the right track, and that we're all being purpose-driven, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Even though sometimes I personally feel like things aren't happening fast enough, or I'm not where I think I should be right now. It's all in the time that it's supposed to happen. And so for me, this week was confirmation. I have to agree with everybody else. It's funny how we all do have so much in common. And it's almost scary, but this is how you know that you're where you're supposed to be. So I just thank you, Tameika, for inviting me. I really did have an amazing time, and I enjoyed listening to all of your stories and learning about all of your businesses as well. You all are really just amazing, and I know that even if we just touched one life this week, it was all that's how it was supposed to happen. And so, Tameika, you're just really an amazing woman, and I look at you now like a big sister, because I see you take the action. And, for me, taking the step is always the hardest part, but once I've taken this step, it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. Like, things just start working together like how it's supposed to be. You don't even really have to think about it as much as you thought that you would. So I think taking the step is the hardest part. And if we can just hold each other's hands, I feel like we'll get so much, almost be like a genuine sisterhood. And so I noticed Joyce and I have the same birthday, and I thought that was crazy.
Wait a minute. Nobody told me that. Wait a minute. Y'all can't have a conversation. I don't know it. I didn't know that.
Yes. I'm super crazy about my birthday.
When is it?
June 21st. And there's
that's
June
Are you a Gemini?
Gemini Cancer.
I'm a Cancer.
Who's on the day of the week and who's paying?
Because it's on the border.
Let's go.
It's almost party time. We celebrate the whole month.
Yeah. I agree.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Just
Wow.
even with that, I thought that was pretty ironic that we share birthdays and we're all on the same. I just, I'm a person. I believe that everything that's happening right now, God already knows. Kind of like we're just now getting to enjoy all of these amazing benefits of walking in our purpose because it's not an easy task. It's very lonely. I've lost lots of friends. I have family who don't understand what the heck I do on a day-to-day basis, and I don't care to share with them either because it's kind of like wasted energy. A lot of people have to see things to believe it, and we've been blessed to not have that kind of mindset.
Exactly.
So I say count it all as a blessing and know that each and every one of you, we are on the right path. And I can't wait to see what happens in a year or two because I know things are going to really explode after this week. Like I was telling Tameika the other day, before you finish one thing, something else, another door, another opportunity opens up your minds. And so just watch out, ladies, because this week did not happen by accident. And I firmly and I truly believe that. So I'm going to stay in touch with each and every one of you. If you're on Instagram and I'm trying to follow everybody and add you on Facebook. Because when I do meet a group of women like you guys, I want to stay connected, honestly. I'm a firm believer in relationships and building relationships. So, Joyce, we had the same birthday, so hopefully we'll be able to celebrate together one year. And throughout the year, guys, we can start doing some things together. So, guys, definitely keep me posted on what you're going to be doing throughout the year. And I love you all very much as sisters now, and we're stuck together, so get ready, guys. But thanks again, Tameika, for inviting me this week. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy it. So I hate that I have to leave now, but I'm gonna go.
It's okay. It's okay because God handpicked each and every one of you for me and put each and every one of you in my spirit. Literally, like He talked to me so loud and told me what I wanted you all to talk about, and He just showed it. So I'm thankful. So.
Natasha.
We'll see you at the
Natasha.
Glam Getaway. At the Glam Getaway.
Okay. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Miss Krystal Nunn, it's your turn, honey.
It's my turn. Okay.
What have you gotten out of this week from the Glam Hangout?
Wow. First off, I want to again say thank you, and I'm echoing what everyone has said so far tonight, but thank you, Tameika, for this opportunity. I have always said that I just want to help people in some way, and that way happened to be through my education, and I didn't always think that I had something that I could really share with people. I kind of say to myself sometimes, like, they've probably been there already. You know, what can I teach them new about budgeting or saving, things or anything of that nature. But just after doing the session last night and just kind of hearing feedback from one of my friends, it was very empowering just to hear from him, like, hey, you did a really good job, like, you shared some really good advice. And I'm like, okay, so you got something out of it. He was like, yeah, like, you walked through things and you felt, it sounded like you were very comfortable in what you were discussing. So I was just like, thank you, I appreciate that. It's nice to hear someone who's actually taking something from it, even if I felt like this was just regular advice, something I do on a daily basis that I didn't think anyone else would know, unaware of. So that's a beautiful feeling to me. And just being a part of this amazing group of women, I can just tell y'all, I just moved back to this area about 2 years ago. And I kind of like rebuilding in a sense. I was living in Pittsburgh for a while, right out of college, and I had my circle of friends, and we would, do our little, get-togethers. We have our like sister circles and stuff. And so when I had to leave all that behind, and I had, kind of get into the process of rebuilding, it takes some time to rebuild your networks again. And so having opportunities to me just like made me smile from the ear. because it's not only just a group of women kind of like sitting around. You know, there's something more coming from it. Each woman has a platform that they're launching, and I'm taking something so valuable that I can apply to my own life and be able to, you know, spread it out to my friends too. I'm like, hey, y'all gotta really tap into this. You know, you want to learn about fashion, you want to get a little bit, you know, more aware about your brand, you want to talk about your health, like you want to just like kind of declutter your mind. Like this is the place to go. You know, there's a lot of resources out there, but here it is. I have like access, like direct access to these women, these beautiful women with such strong messages to share, and I really appreciate just having that opportunity. I mean, I can't say enough what's already been said. This is just a blessing, and definitely was in the right place at the right time. And I can tell you how excited I was walking out of the salon with Tameika's book, and I was just like telling my sister, like, I got the best gift for you. You know, birthday gifts. Me and her were like exchanging gifts because we hadn't seen each other. And while we try to do our little sister trip every year and go shopping in New York, and I'm just like, I can't wait to give her gift. Like, you're gonna read this on our, you know, on our way up to New York. This is gonna be something that you can take back to school. She's gonna be graduating soon, so you know, whenever we try to like get together, we try to make it as much of a positive experience as much, you know, as we can, and just try to like uplift each other. I was like, what better way to uplift you than this beautiful testimony from Tameika herself? Like, read this. This should really excite you about your future. You know, letting you know like who have been there and, you know, have gone and built themselves up from these places like this. Some people sometimes don't come out of. Like, this is very empowering. So I just feel so blessed. Like, I thank God for Naja too, because she connected me to Ty, the hair salon. And I'm just like, I thank God for her, because without the opportunity, you know, this wouldn't have grown to where it is right now. So I'm just excited for what's to come. And this is really me to think more about launching my own brand, which I was really shying away from. And in the banking industry for 6 years, I was more focused on kind of like moving around and trying to figure out like, okay, what other certification or degrees do I need to kind of go ahead and earn in order to get to the next position in banking. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about, like, I really want to dive deeper into financial education. I really want to dive deeper into giving back to my community where I came from, where I grew up from. Because, like, seeing in Camden, New Jersey, I was younger, it was just like you saw people who kind of didn't make out. You saw people who, like, society wrote them off. And for me, it was different. I had connected with the people like this society would otherwise read off. And I'm just like, I want to be able to go back somehow and give in a way that is not necessarily taken from me as an individual, but I can pour something into you and do my best to try to help and uplift you. And I felt like financial education was important. It's not something that's taught in the schools. You know, you have some schools are adopting curriculums as time has gone on. It's not something that's prevalent. And in the homes, you know, it's kind of like, you know, makeshift in a sense. You kind of like learn from your parents' mistakes, or you have something that's a little bit more structured. So, like, my thoughts were, like, just try to get it in front of them as soon as possible. Try to kind of arm the parents as well, just with the right tools and the right speaking points to talk to their kids about it. Because sometimes they just don't have that before themselves because they pass it on to their children. So, I just pray that God continues to use me in His way. And I think just being surrounded by women such as yourself, you know, He's going to find a way to do that. So.
You got it, girl. You got it. You got the glam squad with you. We good.
I heard that.
Okay, ladies, I want to ask each one of you, because we're ready to close out. What would you like to leave our viewers with? Like, we shared this all week, so we're gonna start with you again, Joyce. Like, what was an aha for you this week, and what would you like to leave our viewers with?
Well,
start with your aha.
I like to leave our viewers with this. It's never too late to hit the reset button. And and no matter what it is, you know, we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves as women, because we do so much. But just listening to Krystal, like, you know, it's never too late to go after what you really want, like what you're passionate about, and you can make it work in any area. You've tied together so many things. You've tied together wanting to help your community, wanting to help people, wanting to share what you learned, because you think it's just something regular that everyone knows or gets tired of hearing, and it's not. Your approach, your brand, the way you deliver, the fact that you've been there, and you're not just talking theory, you're talking practice.
Mm-hmm.
You can do so much with that. So I just encourage you to hit that reset button and go for it. And to everyone who's watching, the same thing. Hit your reset button.
Awesome. You have an aha, Joyce? From this week?
Aha is, it's never going to be perfect. Just go.
Just do it.
Just take flight and go.
Like Nike said, just do it. Okay, Tam, what was your aha this week, and what was your takeaway? What would there be a takeaway for you?
I don't know, just being positive, making sure you stay positive, listening to, being happy and doing what you love. So I think that's like my biggest thing. Doing what you love. I always make a statement or a quote after when you're doing what you love, it never seems like work. This didn't, it's Friday at 8 o'clock. I'm sure all of us could have been doing something. I'm a foodie, so I could probably be eating. But it was never like a stressful thought for me to say, I don't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, it's being positive and loving what you do. It seems like everyone is on that path, and that's what we strive for. And I just feel like if we stick with that and do that, we'll just be good. I don't really have an aha moment. Like, just be positive. Do what you love. And it won't seem like work. God will make it happen for you. You don't have to worry. Like you said, you worried for a minute. You don't have to worry. If you're doing something positive and doing what you've been called to do, then you won't have to worry about anything. Everything will fall in place, and everything has divine order.
Aha is confirmation. If you had to pick one aha word,
Yeah,
I think it's confirmation.
Yeah.
That's good. And kind of like what Tam was just saying too, it's just like when you love what you do, it comes so easily. It's just like if you have to work hard at it. Some people don't know what their purpose is. If you have to work hard at it, it's not it. Because it's just like it comes naturally to you. Like you can kind of like do it in your sleep. You know what I mean? Like fashion and all that, and entertain. Like I can do it in my sleep. Like
let me just ask you a question, Tameika. Like you said, like when we were saying how we would be on our way to work and we would say, "Oh God, I want to go here." Have you had that moment in 30 days? Have you had that moment where you was like, "Well, I don't want to get up. I don't want to do this," and that's not a thought that you have when you're doing what you love. It's not like, I don't want to go to the salon today. I have too many clients. That's not a thought. So I'm sure you have not woke up one day and said, I don't want to get with these girls today. It's not a thought when you're doing what you love.
Absolutely. I haven't even thought about taking too much thought. Like, girl, you ain't got no job. You really ain't got no job.
Oh, silly. You do.
But I'm loving what I do, and it's so funny because that you saying that. I remember when I was doing this room, when I was doing the Glam Suite, when my son left to go to college. No, well, he actually moved away, and I said, "You sure you're ready to go now? Because I'm going to do something with this room." And it was like my mindset was just like, okay, I had to shift my space. I had to get in order. And I had no idea that God was preparing me for such a time as this, for such a time as quitting my job and having this space and creating this. So when it happened, I was just like, wow, you set me up again. Like, but I love it, and like you said, and these, like you said, it's almost 2 months. Like, I really, when I wake up, I said, I love my boss. I love her. Like, she's awesome. I love my boss. She is awesome. Like, she gets to do what she wants to do. Like, she sets her day. I love her. And she can't fire me.
That's great.
So that's been my 30 days, Tam. Yeah, that's been my 30 days.
Mine too, Tameika. Mine too. It's not. I'm going to bed late, waking up early. Like, oh, I'm so refreshed. Thanks, God. Like, yeah, I get it. Totally.
Okay, Krystal, what would be your or what you will leave everybody with?
I would say what I would leave everyone with is a quote that has stuck with me, and I came across it the first time was at Penn State at this women in business meeting, and it's go confidently in the direction of your dreams, like live the life you have imagined. Him and David through, and I'm like, when I first read that, I was just like, okay, so it kind of starts with a vision, and for me, I'm a very visual person, very colorful mindset, so I can go picture like the life that I want for myself, and it's all a matter of us just taking those actual steps and being a part of this GLAM Google Hangout is for me like taking that step. And so I definitely appreciate that. And I would say that to any woman out there, who has a vivid, picture of where they see themselves, just take that step. And even hearing Joyce, kind of give some more feedback, I'm like sitting here like fighting back, like I'm not going to cry on camera. I saw Tatum cried. I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm like going to fight back these tears. Like, but it's a beautiful thing to actually like just take that first step. It feels so good because it's just like I can do this. So that's the aha moment too. That I can do it.
I'd say for me, my takeaway was when I'm gonna be okay. When each one of you guys said to me like you're stretching me, and I just remember being that girl. I remember being asked to do certain things, and I was just like, oh, me? You asked me? Like, no, not me. Or, when I was asked like that, and that nerve would come. And so I was just like, wow, God, I didn't know that you put me in this position to do this, to stretch them. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if I was sent to do that for you guys. But hearing that from, when I say each and every one of you, I was just like, wow, that's when you know you're in your purpose. Or that's when I got my aha to know that I am doing what he's called me to do. And that is to share my knowledge, and it's for me to highlight women. That's my thing. Like, my thing with the Glamfinite woman is just to highlight a woman that's on the move, on the go, just making it happen, regardless of what life has thrown at her. I just want to bring out the best in every woman that I encounter. And when I heard that, it was just so humbling to me. So from the bottom of my heart, like, I just thank every last one of you guys for, entering into my life, and two, having God direct me to each one of you personally to, ask you, because it wasn't me. It was all him. Literally, it was all him who spoke in my ear and said, okay, I want you to ask her, 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 and her. So I just thank him for that as well. And me saying yes to the call to do it in my fear. Not even, I had a little anxiety. I wanted to say, like, oh my God, like, you sure they're going to say yes? Like, that was my thing. Not the talking or, doing the hangout. It's just like, that was my thing. Like, what? They said yes? Like, oh my gosh. Like, no, okay. All right, I'm over it now. That was me talking to God. I'm okay. And just it's been an amazing ride. Like, I can't believe today is the last day. And, through the difficulties, Joyce, through our difficulties with, Natasha and I, we had a little difficulty with ours too. But I just want to leave and just personally thank each and every one of y'all from the bottom of my heart for doing what you've done to share your brand with the world. And like you said, if we reached one woman, with something that we know or something that we experience or one of our nuggets, some way we've reached somebody, we've done what God told us to do.
Yep.
That's right.
I agree. I concur.
Amen.
So, guys, this is Tameika McPhaul. I have been your host of the Google Hangout.
You did it.
And this is our final night of our Google Glam Hangout. I I'm still just speechless at the whole thing. You definitely have not heard the last from any of us. We will be in your face sometime soon. We just don't know when, but this is not the last of us. So we just thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us. From our guest JoyceNichole Robinson, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Tamela Tatum. I want to thank you, Natasha Tottie Weston. And I want to thank you, Krystal Nunn. I thank you all for being part of the Google Glam Hangout finale as well, supporting with me. So until next time, ladies, live life on purpose and purpose. Good night.
Night.
Bye.